Hey, thank you so much for watching and listening. Oh my goodness, you totally want to subscribe. Why? Because it's just great content. And you want to share this. This series is really fun. Dining with Jesus. You want to share this with your friends. And of course, like the video. But we're going to get the joke out of the way so we can get to the really good stuff. So, what do prisoners use to call each other? Cell phones. I know, you're like, oh, where'd he come on? I know. But we're going to get into our series here because this is really a fantastic, I love the series, Dining with Jesus. Who would not want to have a meal with Jesus? And that could be like, breakfast, it could be snacks, lunch, tea, scones, could be dinner, could be a midnight snack. I don't care. Just sitting down and talking with Jesus over food. Sounds really spectacular to me. I'm all over that, and I think you might be as well. You probably would have a couple questions, couple concerns. Maybe you'd be Martha, maybe you'd be Mary. There's so many places where Jesus ate and had meals and conversations over meals throughout the Gospels. And so I just picked out a couple ones here that I thought were very helpful to us. And also thinking about it as we're coming up into Thanksgiving, we're all starting to celebrate food and all the festivities of the holidays. So thinking about dining with Jesus and bringing Jesus into all these festivities and all these eating opportunities, dining with Jesus. So today we're going to talk about the Last Supper. This is a really interesting scenario with Jesus. We read about it in Matthew 26, verses 20 and following, as well as John 13. You can read it in Mark and Luke as well, but I just picked those as kind of some key reference points. But dining with Jesus and the Last Supper. At the Last Supper, this was really a powerful time because Jesus had his closest followers, the disciples, the key dudes who were with Jesus as he started his ministry for almost 3 years, and now it's their Last Supper. Because when they walk out of this meal, they're going to go to Gethsemane, Jesus is going to be arrested, imprisoned, and crucified. So it's the Last Supper. And I think it's probably his most intimate conversation and most significant download. If you want to know what Jesus talked about during the Last Supper, because it was like, okay, this is it, guys. We're not going to be doing this again. You've had me here 24/7 for almost 3 years, and here we have reached the finish line. So what did he talk about? And if you're interested in that, read John 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. That's all content, Last Supper content of what Jesus spoke and how some of the conversation that they had. But I just bring this to your attention. At the Last Supper, there's a couple things, key takeaways to consider. They were having their Passover meal, so it had the customary lamb and herbs and all the cup and the bread and all the stuff. But a couple things. Number one, Jesus talked with them and told them things they didn't understand and they didn't like. Jesus had been telling them, look, I'm going to be crucified. Look, I'm going to be arrested. Look, I'm going to be, and all of y'all are going to deny me. And they heard this stuff that Jesus said, but they didn't understand it and they didn't like it. They disagreed with it. And I think sometimes we have to be careful because when we have meals with Jesus, conversations with Jesus, it can be a nice meal, but be prepared that some of the things we don't like or we don't understand, sometimes it's because we don't like it. Well, I don't understand. It's not that you don't understand it. You can understand it, but you don't like what you're hearing. And I think it's important for us to be careful, not just to be selective eaters, picky eaters, or selective picky hearers, understanders, that we absorb and we accept. Acknowledge, this is hard for me, but I acknowledge. And it's hard for me to swallow this, hard for me to understand it, hard for me to agree with it, Jesus. But I do know that what you tell me is living word and truth. So I think these are things to think about. This was what Jesus was doing at the Last Supper. You don't like hearing this, guys, and you don't understand it, but it's true nonetheless. And then the other thing Jesus did that was really noteworthy during this Last Supper is he washed the feet of his disciples. And if you want to read how that played out, look at John 13. Because as he's going around washing the feet, Peter says, don't wash my feet, I'm not worthy. And Jesus said, well, unless you let me wash your feet, you're not be clean. Then Peter's like, okay, well, do the whole, it's just Peter. Classic Peter, over talking. I don't know, under listening, but maybe. But I like that Jesus models for us serving. And he said this in it. He said, if you're going to follow me, then do what I do. I'm modeling for you servant behavior, and you should go and do likewise. Wash each other's feet. And I think it's so important for us when we do dinners with Jesus that we're aware that we're also servants. We follow our master, that we serve others. So thank you for subscribing. Of course, like this video, like this content, and hit the notification bell right there. We'll keep you posted when we put up new content. And here's your question to answer now. Answer this here. Who will you serve this week? Who will you serve? As you think about that, you're like, well, this one would be easy. This one would be hard. That's why I'm asking you. So who will you serve? And when you put that in there, then you kind of have a little bit of accountability to follow through with that. So thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Catch you next week.